Hello, hope everyone is good. If you are watching this live, then make sure to put any questions in the Zoom chat. And if not, if you're watching this back, any questions that you have, chuck them in the WhatsApp group. Put hashtag ask in there and I'll get back to them in there. So today I wanted to bring it back. So I've done a call on this before, but it was a few months ago now. And since then, obviously, we've had quite a lot of new members, which is cool. So I thought we'd do like a little refresh on fat loss and muscle building 101. Dispel some of the myths, go through some of the most important things that we can be thinking about, some mindset shift as well that we can put in and just also actionable steps as well. Because a lot of people join this program or want to lose fat, and they believe that cardio is the best. You have to have a super restrictive diet. You have to be miserable all the time. You have to cut out certain food groups, like carbs or fats or anything like that. And it's not the case. And this is what this kind of call is about. Okay. There's also some thinking that, if you're lifting weights, it means you have to be a bodybuilder. Or if you're lifting weights, it means that you're going to be putting on weight. Okay. That's also not the case. And we're going to talk about that in today's call. So, fat loss and muscle building 101. A lot of coaches will do these calls separately. A lot of coaches will just do one on fat loss and one on muscle building. We don't because this is what we focus on. This is the two things at the same time. It is possible, 100%. So this is why this call is sandwiched in fat loss and muscle building. So can you do both? I just answered that. Yes, you can. Um, at some points, you can't, but at your point, you can. Okay. If we're on this like big transformation, a time where you want to be, like, for example, getting under 100 kilograms, and you're fairly new to the gym, and by fairly new, I mean like 3 to 4 years, like 4 years or less is fairly new to the gym. Okay. At that point, you will be able to lose fat and gain muscle at the same time at quite a quick pace as well. It's only the people who have been training for years and years and years and years and years, like bodybuilders, that sort of thing, who then have to focus on one thing at a time. Okay. So it really depends on your training age. Okay. So how long you've been training. Bodybuilders, for example, like professional bodybuilders, will like do bulks and cuts all year in a 12-month cycle just to gain like 1 to 2 grams of muscle, if that. It's tiny weeny, like it's really small. Okay. They will do so much just to gain like the minimal amount because they've pushed themselves to their potential. Okay. But when we're fairly new, when we're coming from a maybe a sedentary lifestyle or not as active as we'd want to be, the gains that we can make are very quick and very sustainable as well. Okay, straight at the beginning. And it does mean that we can be losing fat and we can be gaining muscle at the same time. We do not need to pick one. Yes, if we did pick one, it would be quicker in that aspect, but it won't be as sustainable. It won't be as fun. And you'll probably be miserable and you'll probably give up on it. Okay, if it was just weight loss, then we'll talk about the difference between weight loss and fat loss later in this call, but there is a big difference depending on, that affects your strength, your mental health, everything like that, and your progress and your sustainability after that. So, yes, you can absolutely do both. The difference between weight loss and fat loss, like I said, we'll go through later in the call. Weight loss and fat loss. So, let's say you're in a deficit, a calorie deficit. So, let's say your maintenance calories are 2,500. Okay, the average for a male. Okay. That's the average male maintenance calories means if you're eating 2,500, you're going to stay the same weight. Okay. Let's say we put you in a deficit of 300 calories. Okay. So 2,200 calories each day. And we were walking, we were going to work, or nothing else changed in our life. We didn't start going to the gym. We didn't start lifting weights, anything like that. Okay. Would you lose weight? Yes, you would lose weight. But a lot of that weight, at least 40% of that weight, will be muscle. And that's not good. Okay. Yes, weight loss is a good thing, but if 40% of that is muscle, it starts to turn into a bad thing. All right. Why does that turn into a bad thing? Because as we get older, our muscle starts to go anyway. We start to have more injuries. We start to be more frail. We start to have less energy. Like day-to-day movement, day-to-day tasks, walking up the stairs, getting out the car, carrying the shopping in from Sainsbury's, all gets a lot harder, okay, because of that depreciation in muscle, right? And if we're in a deficit during that, we're just going to increase that. We're just going to make it worse and worse and worse. Our muscle is going to burn as well as fat, okay? The way we can sustain that, three ways that we can sustain that. One is weight training. Okay, stimulus to the muscle will break down the muscle, cause it to grow back bigger, cause it to grow back stronger. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is upping our protein, okay, and not being in such a huge deficit. All right, we don't have to cut it by 300. It can be cut by 200 or 100, 150. Not being such a huge deficit does still give us the energy to go to the gym to work hard and to build the muscle, but also be in a deficit so you're losing fat. Okay, fat will burn before muscle does, right? That's the second part. The third part to losing weight, sorry, losing fat and keeping the muscle is supplements. So creatine. Okay, creatine is I'm gonna sound like every other PT here. Creatine is the most researched supplement ever. And what it does, it is especially good for people who want to lose weight because it maintains muscle mass. All right. It helps you maintain muscle mass, helps increase water retention within the muscles. So, yes, your weight loss will kind of slow down, but your muscles will feel fuller, which means you'll look more toned. And in the gym, you'll be able to push harder because creatine, basically, different energy systems in the body. Creatine phosphate is the first energy system. Okay. That's the like the fast one that sprinters use. So they sprint really, really, really quickly and it depletes very, very quickly as well. Okay. And it takes about 4 to 5 minutes for it to fully come back. Okay. That's why when you're doing power or you're doing strength training, you have really like short sets, like of two or three, and then a really long rest period, like 4 minutes. Okay. It's so the creatine phosphate system can top up. Okay. That's all creatine does. It tops up your creatine phosphate system, meaning you can push harder, maybe squeeze out like another 1 or 2 reps in the gym. Okay. It doesn't make you gain muscle, it makes you be able to push harder so you can gain muscle from pushing harder. Okay, so it doesn't, if you took creatine and didn't do anything else, there's some research to say that it's got cognitive benefits as well. So that will help with the brain, but then it won't help you gain muscle if you're not training as well. You still need to give the muscle stimulus. Okay, so three ways that you can lose fat whilst maintaining your muscle mass and actually growing muscle at the same time. Be in a slightly less deficit, which I've sorted out for you guys if you're on that journey. Weight training, which all of you are doing, and creatine phosphate. If you're not taking that, then get some, just the pure 100% creatine. Don't get the flavored version or anything like that. And then it's 10% of your body weight. Okay, so if you're 70, like for me, if you're 79 kilos, I'd take 7.9 grams. Okay, just in water every morning, and it doesn't matter when you take it in the day. You just take it when you remember. Okay. So the difference between weight loss and fat loss is weight loss is losing fat and muscle, not good. Fat loss is losing fat, maintaining and building muscle, which is good. Myths. Some myths about weight training. Okay. You'll turn into the Hulk. You absolutely won't. This is especially common with ladies that you think that if you're gonna like do a bicep curl, you're gonna have massive arms. I wish that was the case because I've been trying to do that for years and years and years and years and years. Unfortunately, it's not. Okay. If you do weight train, you're not going to turn into the Hulk. You will get more toned, you'll feel better, you'll feel healthier, you'll feel more active, and day-to-day things that you're doing each day is going to get easier and easier and easier. Okay. You can't lose weight by gaining muscle. Already killed that one. I've already explained that one. Yes, you can lose weight while gaining muscle. You have to be a bodybuilder if you wanna lift weights. No, you don't. Again, that's a lot down to a confidence thing. You know, people in the gym who are like buff, massive guys on steroids, slamming weights around, not training properly, scare people into thinking that, you have to be that massive in order to lift a weight. You absolutely do not. They won't even care. They're too busy with themselves. Remember, everyone's at the gym for one thing, themselves, to build themselves up, to have a good time, to challenge themselves. They're just thinking about them. Okay. They're too busy thinking about them to think about anyone else, same as you. Okay. Do you have to train like 6 times a week in order to gain any muscle? No, you don't. You can take it down to as low as 3 times a week and you can still be gaining muscle. It's just a fact of like how hard are we pushing in those sessions, and how well are those sessions built. You have to do hours and hours of cardio to lose fat. Wrong. You don't actually have to do any cardio to lose fat. Like I said, all it is diet. All you have to be in is a deficit to lose weight. Okay. And then build muscle while doing strength training. Right. Um, and you can only eat chicken, rice, and broccoli. Chicken, rice, and broccoli works. Like it does help people lose weight. It does help people gain muscle. But like I said to a lot of you guys, if you unless you're going to have a chicken, rice, and broccoli birthday cake, it's not going to be sustainable, right? Because things like your birthday will come up, things like Christmas will come up, things like events will come up, summer holidays and barbecues and all that sort of stuff. Okay, it's not sustainable, right? The reason why we want to build muscle. I don't know if there's a slide on this that I made, but it's just come to me now, so I will say it. The reason why we want to build muscle, as well as burn fat, like the reason why we're not just like optimizing for weight loss, okay? The reason I'm not putting you on the treadmill every single day and just burning a ton of calories and losing loads of weight really quickly is that the more muscle you have, the more metabolically active you are. Okay. So muscle is more metabolically active than fat, meaning that when you're sat doing nothing at work, chilling out, watching Netflix, you'll be burning more calories than if you were sat there doing the same exact thing with less muscle. Okay. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn. All right. So we want to optimize again for fat loss. So the more muscle we have, the more calories we burn when we're sedentary and inactive, the more fat we'll be burning throughout the day as well, not just in your sessions. Okay. There it is. Why is muscle gaining so important? That's exactly what I just said. Okay, so it's because muscle's more metabolically active than fat, but also some other things like longevity style. So I did talk about this a little bit before, but it's also just your ability to do things. Next to the fact that weight training is so much more fun than cardio, I enjoy it a lot more. You feel a lot better. There's a lot of more things that you can measure during weight training. You can hit PBs, you can do accessory work, you can do big compound lifts, you can optimize for strength, you can optimize for muscle gain, you can optimize for power. Just makes you feel good when you're there. There's loads of longevity benefits for it as well. So injury prevention. Okay, so as we get older, like I said, we're losing muscle, and that's where most of the injuries come from. Is because we've lost muscle, we've got a lot weaker, and we fall over, we get injured, right? Same as your day-to-day stuff now. Like even if someone with more muscle mass, if they were getting out of the car, is way less likely to get injured getting out of the car. And that sounds silly, but a lot of injuries are done outside of the gym, just in your day-to-day life, than a person with less muscle mass. They're way more likely to get injured. Okay. Functional day-to-day, like I said, getting up the stairs is going to be easier. Taking the shopping in, you can do it in one trip rather than four trips. Um, just doing day-to-day stuff, running around with your kids and not being out of breath the whole time, having to run for the bus and not being out of breath, just being able to pick things up and not feel like they're really, really heavy in your work, in your day-to-day life. You'll notice the benefits in the day-to-day as well, which really helps mentally as well. Your energy, the more muscle mass you have, the more energy you have, ease of movement, everything becomes easier. Everything becomes easier. Getting up, sitting down, all the little things that you don't really think about, everything will just become way easier. Okay. And you'll stop thinking about it so much. Bone and joint health. Okay. So if you've got aches and pains in your bones and your joints and everything like that, normally it's due to a weakness in that. Knees, especially elbows, shoulders, weakness of the muscles, stabilize the muscles around those joints. So if we build muscle, they become a lot more supported, which can remove pain. And also do prehab and rehab. Okay. So if they're painful, it will remove pain. And if they're not, it'll help bulletproof them so that in the future, they don't start hurting. Okay. And then looking healthy rather than skinny. Okay. So skinny may look frail, may look ill. Like if you've ever experienced this, maybe you've tried like a diet in the past, or you've seen someone, or you've seen this happen when people lose a load of weight and people are like asking, "Oh, are you okay? Like you look ill, you don't look healthy." Like maybe they're pale, maybe they're just like a little bit frail, but they think that it's good because they've lost a load of weight. It's because they haven't been building muscle at the same time. If you don't want those reactions, if you don't want the reactions of people going, "Oh my God, are you okay? You need to eat something," then let's build muscle at the same time because you'll look a lot healthier. You'll still be slim, you'll still be toned, but you won't look frail, okay? And you won't have people concerned about your health. You will look healthy rather than skinny, okay? So why weight training over cardio? It's funner. Less likely of injury as well. If you're running, you're doing high impact stuff like that. A lot of like shin splints come up, knees come up, all that sort of stuff. Um, and by the way, I love cardio as well. Like I'm not bashing cardio, but I think you should just do cardio for your mental health rather than just because you want to lose weight. Okay. Do cardio for the mental benefits, do weight training for the physical benefits. Okay. You'll notice a lot more physical change and physical benefits from doing weight training than you would doing cardio. Okay, so I do like cardio, I do it myself, but I do it because I enjoy it, right? It's not because I'm training to lose weight or anything like that. It's because I want to do it because I enjoy it, right? Like I said, you can measure a lot more when you're weight training. You can hit PBs. It's a lot easier to do progressive overload with weight training because you can measure so much in terms of numbers. Like it's right there. Like in the app, you can measure exactly what you did last week, what you need to do next week, and you can actually see what you need to do. Okay, just makes it very, very simple. And you can split, like you can do half the amount you'll have to do in terms of cardio to get the same results. All right. So you could do, 3 sessions of weight training when you'd have to do like 5 sessions of cardio to get similar results. Okay. And like I said, it keeps your muscle. It stops you from just losing weight. It keeps you to the fat loss side of it. All right. Muscle's more metabolic active than fat. We want to gain muscle. We want to be strong. We want to be functional. We want to have longevity. We don't want to get injured. We don't want to do all of this sort of stuff. So, That is why weight training over cardio. The key components of muscle gain. How do we gain muscle? So, weight training is the first point of it. Like we want to be weight training and we want to be doing progressive overload during those sessions. Okay. What does that mean? It means that we're making it harder every single time. All right. You'll notice that you will get stronger, so your sessions will get easier, but that's not the point. You always want to be challenged in those sessions. Okay. You always want to feel like you got to the end of it and you're like, wow, that was pretty tough. Okay. And the only way we can do that is as we get stronger, we include progressive overload. Now that's not just the weights, that can be other things as well, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Sleep, we want to make sure that we're getting enough sleep and we're getting enough rest. Okay. 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night minimum. 7 to 8 hours of sleep. We also want to be taking rest days, and those are proper rest days. Okay, that's days when you're not thinking about training. You're not saying, "Oh, maybe I should train today because I missed a session." That's why it's so important to hit those sessions when you say you're going to do it, because then if you don't, your rest days will then turn into should I work out or should I not, which means you're not properly resting, which means you won't properly recover, which means the next session will be even harder. Okay, so proper rest days, 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. And protein, a big focus on protein. Okay, hit as much protein as you can get, especially when we're losing. Like if we're trying to lose weight, then we want to maintain the most muscle. We want to be getting as much protein or hitting that percentage of your protein that you need to be hitting as close as we can every single day. Okay, so these are the four components. Well, kind of three because progressive overload and weight training go into one. The three components of muscle gain. Okay, and again, with muscle gain comes fat loss, right? How to know if you're training hard enough, right? So what gets measured gets managed. Like I said, we want to be hitting progressive overload every single session. Now, it doesn't have to be just the heavy, the weight of the load that you're lifting. Okay. Yes, we're going to be upping the weight most of the time. That is our predominant one. Or like shorter rest periods help, shorter like more sets. So instead of 3 sets, we do 4 sets. Okay. More reps, slower reps as well, so more time under tension. Okay, just different ways that we can make it harder. So let's say if the dumbbells jump up a little bit too much for you to improve on that week, let's say you were doing tens and then the next dumbbell is like a 12.5, so that's quite a big jump, 2.5. Let's say you can't get the like you can't lift that yet. Okay, stick with the tens and just do 3 more reps or 2 more reps, or slow down the movement, or do the same amount of reps, just half the rest period. Okay, and then the next session after that, try the 12.5s. Okay. So there are different ways other than just weight to make sure that we're making it harder each time. Okay. So stick with the weight for now, but then if it's too hard and you need like a dip down, try rest, try tempo, and try reps as well. So what gets measured gets managed. The weights, the rest periods, the heart rate as well, the recovery after the gym, the energy levels of the gym. This is how we can see if we're still pushing hard enough. Okay. So are the weights improving? If not, are the reps improving and the rest periods going down? Or is the tempo slowing down as well? Your rest periods, like keep them strict. Like whether you need to stick to them. You need to decide how you're gonna have. They'll be on the app as well. So you just need to stick to those rest periods. And if you need to make it harder and half it, then stay strict with the half rest periods as well. Heart rate, okay. If you can measure heart rate, we want to be seeing the same heart rate every single time, unless you're completely new. If you're completely new, the heart rate will be quite high the first couple of workouts, but then after a month, after 2 months, maybe 3 months, it will start to hit this kind of like 130, 150 area. That's what we want to kind of maintain there. Okay. So we want to see that your heart rate is the same at every session. Okay. Recovery after the gym, right? So pay attention to this. Hopefully, this again, it will be harder if you've just started, but then it will kind of plateau out to a point where it's like regular, all right? And we want to be feeling like that every single time. We want to be feeling like we do need to recover after the gym every single time. Okay. Energy levels after the gym, all right? So all these things are things that we want to be feeling the same each session, okay? Because if it's like if after the gym you've got way more energy than the session before, it means you haven't pushed hard enough, okay? So we always want to measure how we're feeling after the gym just to see if we could have pushed harder, if we could have gone like a little, like if we could have squeezed out 2 or 3 more reps, all right? We want to be feeling this, having the same energy levels after each session, okay? We want to make them as simple as possible because as we get stronger, we want to be upping everything else to make sure it's keeping up with us as well and lose fat at the same time. So, if we're wanting to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, these are the tips to do that. Calorie maintenance or slight deficit. Like I said, it doesn't have to be huge, just a little bit. But again, I've worked out that for you, or Zoe's worked out that for you. High focus on protein, like I said, high focus on sleep, again, like I said, 7 to 8 hours, and those rest days as well. Daily movement over cardio. So don't bother like trying to like up your cardio when you're at the gym. Don't I wouldn't waste the time that you're at the gym unless you've got a load of time to add on at the end, but don't take away time from the weight training to do cardio. Okay. Just focus on daily movement. So daily steps, getting up, walking around, stretching, a couple of press ups if you want to. But yeah, focus on steps. That's why like a step goal is really good to have this. Hydration, okay, 3 liters a day if we can do that. And weekly calorie target again. So if like especially coming up to the summer, if we've got events on, if you've got meals out, if you've got everything like that, set your target to a weekly target because your body doesn't like reset at midnight. Okay. You can set it to a weekly target. So if you go over on a Friday or a Saturday, if you go like way over on a Saturday, but you've gone way under on, let's say, Thursday, that's fine. As long as it hits your weekly target, then you'll be in a good place. Okay. So that is it. That is kind of like an overview of fat loss and muscle gain at the same time. Like I said, it is possible. Are there any kind of specific questions on that? Because sometimes it can be a little bit confusing, especially with all this kind of like contradicting information out there, or people telling you that, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do cardio to lose weight. You can do all of this stuff to lose weight, but the reason behind us programming mostly weight training and then not a huge deficit is so we can build muscle at the same time, okay? To make sure that this is a lifelong change. So, any questions in the Zoom chat? At the moment, I'm kind of not seeing any there, which is fine. If you're watching this back, chuck any questions that you have in the WhatsApp chat again, and I will get back to it in there. But I hope this helps. I hope this helped kind of either a little refresher or maybe you're new and this kind of just dispelled some myths, helped you kind of get a little bit more clarity in terms of why we're doing what we're doing and where you can expect to be as well. So remember, if you're lifting weights, you're not going to get massive, you're not going to get bulky, you're going to have that toned, healthy look rather than just like skinny and frail. Okay. So again, I hope this helped, guys, and I will see you on the next one.